Hello and welcome to the University of Dutch. I'm your co-host, Dr. John, JP John Paz from the two-man power trip of wrestling. Of course, joining me is the smartest man ever in the history of the wrestling business, the Dirty Dutchman himself, Dirty Dutch Mantel. How you doing today, sir?
How much did I pay you to say that? Not
Couple
enough.
bucks. Yeah, no.
Not enough. I'll pad that. I'll pad that next week. Hello, everybody. We're doing just a little bit different this week, and it's a just a freewheeling podcast, kinda, because and you sent questions in. I'm going to answer some questions, and we're going to talk about some things that are going on in wrestling right now, and there's not a lately there's not a boring day in wrestling. Something's going on somewhere with somebody because they got two major groups and some shorter groups. Let's take AEW for example. Not only are they trying to go head up the WWE, they bought out Ring of Honor. So now they're going to have the Ring of Honor crew going up against two AEW crews. I don't know if they're going to compete against themselves or what they're going to do. And I suppose, unless something changes, that Mr. Tony Khan will be booking not only one company, one show, but he'll be booking 4 shows, correct?
Man, it seems like he's got a lot of shows under his belt. If Ring of Honor keeps doing shows,
Do
if that's going to
you,
be,
well, they're going to do TV. We know that. I mean, booking a house show is easy. Booking the TV is the tricky part. Because if he's booking 3 different shows, when is the overload going to hit? And it will hit. And it will hit hard. He's already done it 2 years. Now, I was watching the latest Rampage. And I can almost tell that Cody is gone because I don't know how much input Cody had, but apparently he had quite a bit because the show looked totally different. Totally different.
it's weird the way they just start with like the guys in the ring. There was no entrance. They just start the show and they ring the bell and they start wrestling. Thought that was weird.
Well, you know why they do that, right?
Save time.
Well, this is a show they just do, and then they edit. They were running out of time, really. That's what you're getting because sometimes you open in progress. I've always liked the idea of opening with a match going on. I've always liked that idea. I mean, get right into it. So you don't get that with Raw because you can sit back, smoke a cigarette, hell, go to the bathroom, eat a meal, order out, maybe some Amazon deliveries come. And this is all while Roman Reigns is going to the ring. And he'll get there. Roman Reigns starts at 8:03. He'll get to the ring at about 8:08. Takes him 5 minutes to get there. Then it takes another minute or 2 to get out the acknowledge me part. And then they probably have 3 or 4 minutes for the in-ring, and that's it. And they do the same thing over and over and over again. So I don't know if the show that I was watching had any of the influences of Cody being gone, or I don't know if Cody actually helped book. Cody said he didn't. What I've always heard is Tony Khan does all the booking himself. Is that what you hear?
Him and QT Marshall, I heard, of the 2 bookers,
Oh,
which is
boy.
pretty crazy to think, but yeah.
And Marshall has never booked wrestling shows before, right?
Not to my knowledge.
Unless he ran a few and he booked those.
Right,
But that's
right.
all. But it hasn't been really a train wreck. But they've depended on the wrestling to carry them through, which will last a while. But unless you get that long-term story and keep baiting that comeback, and who's the Hangman? Hangman Page, is that his name?
Yep.
He's been around over 2 years, right, with AEW?
Yeah.
I've never seen him wrestle one time.
Really? He's the world champ?
Because I don't watch the Wednesday show. What's the Wednesday show called?
Dynamite.
I don't watch that one. I watch
Oh.
Rampage Only because I'm forced to. And the reason I'm forced to is I do a
Sportskeeda, right?
Sportskeeda.com show every Friday night where we critique not only SmackDown, but we critique Rampage too. And lately I've been liking Rampage. I hated it first. And of course, there are nights where I hate both Rampage and SmackDown equally, if that's possible. But anyway, so if you want to find me on Friday night, I'm live at sportskeeda.com at 11 o'clock or 11:05. As soon as Rampage goes off, we're popping up somewhere. So that's what I was talking about. But I put a post up on Instagram.
On Cody, yes, controversial, yes.
Boy, it was. I never really got it this many replies to it. And I asked, this was my thought about Cody. He went to AEW, and I saw his in-ring debut on Raw. But I wrote it before I saw that. And I was wondering if people thought that he would make a difference. And I said that Dustin, at this point, is not over Dusty. It's Daddy. He's not over him. And actually is not over even Dustin as Goldust. And I guess I rattled some feathers, and they all came over there and and they were very, very civil. They didn't say things like, "Well, you stupid SOB, blah blah blah, you old bastard." But I don't think he'll move. I don't think Cody will move the needle. I just don't, for some reason, because I know how WWE books unless they change their whole style of booking. I don't see him standing out because his interviews are decent, good. But did you hear his interview Monday night on Raw?
Yes.
Well, he didn't him and haul around. It was a good interview, but it wasn't an exciting interview. I think he depended on it to tug on the heartstrings, which it didn't. It didn't tug on mine anyway, because Dusty is not the type to make you, really get down with him, like feeling heartfelt things. And Cody was trying to cry all the way through it. Couldn't quite pull that off. And then he finally got to what he wanted to do in WWE, and that's he wants to level the playing field and beat Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
And I said, whoa, wait a second. Roman Reigns hadn't been beat 500 and something days.
90, yeah, 590.
He pinned two guys at one time. Who was that, Edge and who?
Daniel Bryan. Yeah,
he pinned them all at one time. Then he just pinned Brock Lesnar. And to me, if anybody thinks that Vince McMahon, and I'm sure he paid good money, because that's how he gets guys. He just talks. That's the universal language for anything, money. So he got him, but I don't think we'll be seeing him dethrone Roman Reigns. They got too big of investment in him to even risk that. And what I've said time and time again is what's wrong with SmackDown is they don't have a bench. I don't know who Roman Reigns is going to go after now, or who's going to go after him. But you think McIntyre's ready for him? No.
Yeah, I guess Drew could be next, I guess.
Well, he's probably next, but does that turn anything for you?
No, because he's going to win. Yeah.
Yeah, the bench is scarce. It's like having a baseball team and you have an ace pitcher that you start every third game, but who are you going to start in game one and game two? You're not confident that they can do the job. Now, number three can come in and get something done, but 1 and 2, you're worried about. So, but anyway, Cody? I had a lot of comments on that. So if you want to find my Instagram account, I think it's Dirty D Mantel, I think. and you can find me there. I think I'm not even sure on these accounts because I was reading today, John. Remember you told me you didn't get certified? Are you? Who didn't get certified? Are you certified, John?
Am I certified?
On say Instagram.
Oh,
You
verified. No,
verified. I mean,
yeah, nope, not yet. No.
now it's much harder to get verified.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of pro wrestlers they denied. It was like Ricky Morton they denied, and a bunch of other wrestlers on there. I'm not sure why. Buff, I think, and a couple other guys got denied.
Well, that's what I'm hearing too. Anyway, I don't know. So that was one of the things that I just wanted to talk about. So if anybody wants to write in, and hey, if anybody wants to donate any money for this free to you little talk here, it's Dirty D. Let me get this right. Oh no, it's Dirty Dutch Mantel at gmail.com at PayPal. I can't put that up anywhere down there, can I, John? Okay, anyway, if anybody wants to give me a little tip that I will share graciously with my little dog Oscar, it's Dirty Dutch Mantel at gmail.com at PayPal. So if you can give me, I'm like a guitar player on the sidewalk busking. You know what that is, right, John?
Oh, busking.
Busking. You don't know what busking is?
No. Mm-mm.
Well, I got to educate you. You never lived in Nashville, did you?
No.
Well, in
No, I
Nashville,
did
you
not.
see these guys, they're on the corner, they play on the guitar. And the thing about Nashville, I love Nashville. The thing about Nashville is everybody there is great, really. Even people you don't even know. You go in these clubs, these guys look like they could go play on the Tonight Show tomorrow. But they're still stuck in Nashville because they can't get a push. Can't get a job with the big guys. So, and they told me one time, said, "You think wrestling is hard to get into? Try to bust in the music business." I said, "Really?" He said, "Oh man, said, that's why I'm driving that damn '89 Ford out there." And this was 2008.
Oh, Jesus.
But anyway,
Who do you
so
think is
John,
going to beat Roman Reigns, by the way? Great question from Benjamin Davis. Who
I
do you
don't
think?
know. I don't
Cody
know.
Rhodes?
They're setting
Cody
him
Rhodes?
up. They're
Cody
setting
Rhodes
him
going to
up.
do it?
They set him up for The Rock next year, I think,
Yep.
on
No doubt about it.
WrestleMania, which will be a
Hollywood, yeah.
huge. Where is WrestleMania next year?
SoCal. So it's in Hollywood.
Okay, and of course anything can happen in a year, but that'll be a huge, huge super. I mean, WrestleMania. And so now, believe it or not, folks, since I've actively stopped participating in pro wrestling as a performer, of course, I'm too old now, and I kind of stopped watching wrestling. But I did watch, and this is very, very different. That's my mustache tonight, John.
Very good. Somebody was
Okay.
wondering if you were going to cut that mustache.
Well, why would I do that?
Dylan Carter wrote that in. He said, "Are you going to shave your mustache or at least trim it?" I don't know why you would do it. That would kill the gimmick.
Well, it would kill the gimmick. Why would I do it? But I tell you, if the money was right, I'd cut it because I don't have any problem growing hair. I never had any problem doing that. So, hey, what was I talking about? You got me off my.
That you don't watch
I watched
wrestling anymore.
WrestleMania.
Yeah.
That was the first WrestleMania I have really ever watched from like start to end. And I didn't even watch
after
that
38
stuff.
years?
Yeah, I didn't even watch the WrestleMania that I was on.
Wow.
I was around it, but I didn't sit and watch the whole thing. But I'll say that some of those matches were very good. Even the ones that probably everybody thought they would be like cheap and sloppy. Even Sami Zayn and
Johnny Knoxville from Jackass.
Johnny Knoxville, they actually pulled it off. I mean, they were no slow spots, and they had I love the hand. The hand coming out and hitting
Yeah.
Zane. Oh, that was great. That was good. And but I thought the main event under delivered. I don't know why. It just didn't deliver. That's when Roman just beat him. And then it's over. And then you didn't see Roman, you didn't see Brock again. He's gone. He's out of there. So if he beats that guy just like that, now who you got? And there were a few matches that I thought were very sloppy. And which one was that in? Where did the referee get bumped? What match was that? Got bumped in the girls' match with Charlotte Flair
And Ronda Rousey.
And they had another one, but it didn't perform. So I don't think it did anyway. But hey, if I'm watching it, I'm a fan like everybody else. So I don't know what they're thinking. I know they're trying to protect certain people. And whether they protected them or not, sometimes a bad finish to hurt them too. So, all right, you got a question for me?
Yes. Steve Woolham says, do you listen to Jim Cornette's podcasts? It's a good one.
Do I listen to it?
Yeah.
Not on a regular basis. I have listened to it. I have been a guest on the show, but no, I don't listen to it on a regular basis. If he says something good, do I like it? Well, he's a good talker. He's entertaining, according to what he's talking about too. But sometimes I think he might talk a little too much for his own good. But I know Jimmy. So I used to ride up and down the road with Jimmy all the time. And if you ride with Jimmy, I mean, there's no lack of talking in that car. You better get your shots in because he's damn sure going to get his in. So, no, I don't listen to his podcast on a regular basis. I'm only sporadically.
Joe Hopkins said that you taught him how to eat for free at the Waffle House. How did you do that?
I don't remember teaching him to eat free other than you running out the door. So I forgot what I did. I think I complained. I complained about something, or I forgot what it was. But it was something. It worked a couple times. So he's a Waffle House aficionado.
Yes.
You know what a Waffle House is, John, right?
Oh, yeah. Of course.
Do you have them where you are?
No. Nope.
What?
No.
Where do you live? Bulgaria?
New Jersey. Yeah, we don't have.
They don't have them there?
Not as far as I know. When I've been down south, that's when I've been to Waffle House. When I've been in Florida and stuff. In North Carolina. Yeah.
Well, the best part about a Waffle House is they're open 24 hours. Oh, so you can go out and you can get hammered, but as long as you got the Waffle House, it's got the coffee, you can go in there and try to straighten yourself up before you go home. So, and see, down south where I'm from, and if you talk to anybody down south from, say, North Carolina, South Carolina on down, Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, and Florida, there's a lot of Waffle Houses. Sometimes you can get off on an exit. And I did this in Tennessee one time. There was a Waffle House on both sides of the interstate.
Nice.
So the traffic going east could get it, and the traffic going west could get off and get it. So hence the term, they got you coming and going. It was on both sides of the interstate. So, but
Daniel wants to know what are your thoughts of AEW buying Ring of Honor and them combining? Is that too much?
I just talked about it. What I think is Tony Khan, as I hear, he's the only one booking those shows. And I can see that too, because now he knows what he's got on all the shows. And, this is what I didn't like on AEW last week was, I forgot his name now. The kid he was beating a car up. Him and a girl. Knocking the windows out.
Oh, Sammy Guevara.
Sammy Guevara, and some, I don't know the girl's name.
Tay Conte.
Why were they beating the car up?
Because it was owned by the heel, Dan Lambert, so they decided to destroy his property.
Well, see now, but didn't Brock Lesnar just beat that SUV that Roman was in that Monday before that showed?
Yes. Or
And
that
then here it
Friday
is on
before, yeah.
Friday, and
Whatever, yeah.
they're beating the car up. So I'm thinking, wow, that's the same thing they did on Raw. Looked like a straight up copy job. And I like the idea of beating the car up. It's okay, but not if the other company has just done it like 3 or 4 days before. It looks like you're copying them. And another thing about AEW is uh, a lot of them just wear black or real dark colors. You know, what I would suggest for them is to get some colors that stand out because their lighting is not the greatest in the world. It's okay, but it's nowhere like Raw. Raw lighting that's presidential lighting. So, I mean, when you see Raw and you see that lighting out there, there's not a dark spot in that hole. It just lights up your screen. AEW, it kind of gets dark in the background. So if a guy's wearing dark tights and a dark top, he just blends in. You kind of just looking to find him. So that's my critique there. They can do it. They can do it if they want it, or if not, don't do it.
Steve Grissom. What's the best region you ever worked in and why?
Well, a couple of them. Tennessee at one time I think was the hottest territory in the country, except for Puerto Rico. And those were my two best territories, Puerto Rico and Memphis, because it was wide open. And I actually think Memphis had more guys that they put on TV than SmackDown has. We had 16 guys. They was all on TV every week. And I think that SmackDown, they got about, I don't know how many guys they got, but you see about 16 on TV every week. We had a 90-minute show. They have a 2-hour show. And when you hear that, fans don't think it's 2 hours of solid wrestling because it's not. On an hour show, you have 40 minutes, 42 minutes of actual time that you can use for wrestling or interviews. The other 22 minutes are taken up by commercial spots. So, but I think Memphis was I enjoyed it the most, and Puerto Rico till the people in Puerto Rico started trying to kill me, and I didn't enjoy that too much. So, that's my answer.
What is the Ring of Dreams? It says to ask Dutch about the Ring of Dreams. Do you have any idea what that means?
Ring of Dreams.
Is that a Waffle House reference? I don't even know what that is. Ring of Dreams. Joe might have to explain himself on that one. I don't know what that means.
Oh, I think I remember what it was one time. I did this thing a long time ago where regular fans could receive, I don't know, a day or two of training. And then I would put them in the ring and tape a professional wrestling match with them. And I had several do it. It was okay. The reason I had to put somebody in there with them is so they wouldn't get hurt. Of course, they got to sign all kind of releases and stuff if they get hurt. But I didn't want to hurt them. I just, I wouldn't have them do anything. But they could actually realize getting in the ring in front of people. I've done it on a few live shows too. Of course, it was well rehearsed. And I don't think a lot of people even knew it. So, but that's what Ring of Dreams was. Hell, that's 30 some odd years ago.
Good memory there by Joe. Nicholas says, "Does Cody Rhodes have the potential of becoming the biggest face in WWE or becoming the face of WWE?"
Does Cody Rhodes have the what now?
Potential to become the face of WWE.
Well, he'll be a face there. Do I think he'll become the face? Well, don't hold your breath. But, and he must have signed a big deal. Great for him.
Yep.
Good for him. Because his daddy taught him anything. He taught him how to merge his way into something. But I think his biggest thing was really is that Vince wanted to get him away from AEW. Not that he fears them, because nobody's going to knock WWE off. When I was with TNA, we said they tried to say it was a war with WWE. I said, guys, it's not a war. It's only a war if the other side knows you're shooting at them.
Yeah.
They said, well, you don't know who they think we're here. I said, yeah, they know we're here, but they don't think it's going to be a battle because they would be talking about it and doing something, but they're not. They're just letting us do what we want to do. And no, I do not think Cody will become the face of WWE. I just don't think that, because I remember Cody, him and what was his name, Sandow.
Yep.
Now you may win some new fans over. Yeah, he's got fans. I'm not saying that. I hope he does great. But like I said, I know how. This was the post I put up about Cody. I says, you come in, it's a big deal. He's like the second coming. And then that's the first week. In the second week, he's still coming, but it's now the shine's off of it just a little bit. Third week, yeah, put him over a little bit.
Yep.
Fourth week, yeah, he's like stuck somewhere on a plateau and can't get off of it. And by the sixth week or the eighth week, like 2 months in, it's like he's just another guy. And that's how easy it is. Now, you remember when, I want everybody to listen to this. You remember when Hulk Hogan was red hot, correct?
Oh, yeah.
How many times did you see him on TV?
Not as often as you would think. Not very.
No kidding.
He hardly ever wrestled superstars, maybe once or twice,
And it was a big deal.
Yep.
A big deal. But with SmackDown or Raw, they put these guys on there every week. And by the time 4 or 5 weeks go by, you're kind of sick of seeing them. So where is your stardom in that? If you don't want to see the star, if you get sick of them, and this could happen to Cody. I hope it doesn't, but it could. Of course, a lot of things can happen. I'm just talking to you anyway. So if that happened, you can say, well, Dutch warned us. So I'm the Nostradamus of wrestling.
Ivan Santos says, how hard was it to book Florida after Dusty Rhodes and his crew left the territory?
Hard. It was very hard. John, I took over in Florida in 1984. Dusty had just left and gutted the territory. He took Magnum TA with him. He took a bunch of people. So when I got there, I had the second string. And I said, well, this is what I got. So, and I tried to bring some guys in, and they didn't want to come in because they knew it was rebounding and it was very, very difficult. So, and Dusty, he'd come in like when Eddie Graham killed himself. Dusty came in then walked in the office one day, and the office I was in, that used to be Dusty's office. So I walk in, Dusty's already in there behind my desk, which used to be his desk. And I just sat down, had a little couch in front of it. I just sat down on the couch. We started talking, and he was down there for the funeral, and he loved Eddie. Everybody loved Eddie Graham in Florida. He's a good guy, really good guy. And I think that's between that, booking it from nothing, and then kind of getting to the point where Eddie all of a sudden is not there. I mean, that was a morale booster. And I finally got it up. I got pushing some guys, I pushed myself, had the free birds down there. I finally got it up. I went in there in October, November, December, January. It took about 4 months till it started showing some life. And I remember I booked myself against Ric Flair in Sarasota, and it sold out because we pushed it for a month. And there was an old wrestler down there named John Heath. You know who I'm talking about, John Heath was a promoter, and he did other things. He'd been around a long time, and he had another business down there too. So he would just promote shows. But Sarasota was one of his towns. So, and this was right before. It was actually the Saturday night that Eddie shot himself. So we walk in it, and I'm thinking, man, Eddie would enjoy this. And it was me against Flair. And it's packed out. And then Saturday night, we heard the news the next day in Orlando because we were there. I think it was Super Bowl Sunday. We had an afternoon show. That's what I think, as I remember, in 1985, which seems like a lifetime ago now. And then the news floated through the dressing room that it had just come on the news, the 5 o'clock news or something. We was about ready to leave. That Eddie shot himself. So, and then he died. A lot of people don't know this, but Eddie actually shot himself twice. Did you know that?
Yeah. Yep.
They said the first time you didn't do it right. And I could just see Eddie saying, damn it, I can't do nothing right. I can't even. That's why he was very competitive. So we go into that office that day on a Tuesday, I think. It might have been a Wednesday. Probably a Tuesday, yeah. And Dusty looked at me and he said, "Does Mantel." He said, "That's a hell of a house you had in Sarasota, brother. Hell of a house. Hell of a house." He said, "But it's not the record." I said, "Oh, really?" But he complimented me on it.
Yeah.
And then he said, "The record is," I forgot what he said, 18,957 MFing dollars. Dusty Rhodes against the Ric Flair versus the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes.
Nice.
So it's not the record. So I asked John Heath, and I was so new to booking. I didn't know things I couldn't do. So I asked John Heath later that week, I said, "John," and I told him what Dusty had said. And I laugh about it now. And he says, well, he said, Dusty's house was better in dollars, but you had more people. I said, "How's that work?" He said, he upped his prices. And see, at my point in my booking career, I didn't even know I could raise prices. I thought I would just book the card. It had nothing to do with the prices. But he had the record in at the time. I'm sure they've topped it by now. But he had the record in dollars up to then. But I had the record in tickets sold. So we can both claim the victory off that.
Yeah. Nice.
So, but anyway, Florida was very hard to book.
Who was your favorite all-time opponent? Would it be your cosmic brother, Jerry Lawler? Who's your favorite opponent all time?
Well, I worked with Lawler, well, not a lot. See, we worked this one program, and I think it was in a long time ago, a lifetime ago. And where I was a baby face, and Lawler was a baby face, and we sold out. Sold out Memphis, Louisville, Evansville, Nashville. Those were the major markets that we worked in. And we'd show up and it sold out. And I have the distinction of being one of the guys who actually beat him straight up after he became, a big star. I don't know how I talked him into it, but it worked. Because I told him, now all you got to do is go out there and say, and if you don't beat me, that you'll retire. And he said it, we sold out again. And that was the shortest, longest angle, they call it program, that I ever worked. We only worked like 3 times in 7 weeks. So we had a match, and then Lawler would go somewhere. But Lawler was a champion, and he was wanting me to step back in the ring with him, but I wouldn't do it. So you never see that. You always see the ex-champion asking the champion to step in the ring one more time. In this case, he was the champion asking me, the challenger, after I dropped it to him, and to come back in the ring, and then I picked it up again, and then we did the last one, and he took it back. But Lawler was great to work with. He don't do a lot of stuff, but what he does means something. Nothing is wasted. Savage, Randy Savage, the same way. I work with him a lot, and those probably my best opponents. And a lot of people won't know who this guy is, but I broke in with this guy. His name is Ted Oates in Georgia. He's from Columbus, Georgia. Jerry Oates' brother. Maybe a lot of people. If you're outside Georgia, you won't know who these guys are. But I work with him. I bet in 1 year, I worked with him over 2 years, probably 300 times or more.
Wow.
So, and he was an excellent guy to work with. What we got?
From Kyle, what's your favorite moment or memory from the Memphis territory?
Well, the Andy Kaufman angle was one of my, other than what I did, the Andy Kaufman angle. And Andy Kaufman followed me and Lawler. I don't know if this was 82 or 83, yep. A lifetime
82.
ago.
Yeah, it was 82.
It was 82, right?
Yep.
But 82 was the biggest year that Memphis ever had. They sold that year over 400,000 tickets to the Mid-South Coliseum in Memphis because they sold more tickets than Madison Square Garden sold. Because we were in there every week. Madison Square Garden used to run like every month or every 6 weeks. But we actually sold more tickets than Madison Square Garden. But the beauty about the Andy Kaufman thing was I explicitly told everybody, and Lawler, I said, because I talked to Kaufman, but I didn't talk to him about wrestling business. But I told Lawler, don't tell me what you're going to do. I don't want to know. And he says, why? I said, because I want to look at it like a fan. And being a fan is fun if they do the right stuff. And they did the right stuff. Between Kaufman and Jimmy Hart, who's the greatest manager I've ever seen, because he can get heat just looking at you. And Cornette's close to him. But I didn't want anybody telling me what was going on, because the night that Kaufman went out there and wrestled, was her name Foxy or Roxy? You remember that black girl?
Wasn't it Foxy? I could be wrong. I thought it was Foxy something.
It was either Foxy or Roxy. But I stepped out in the hallway one night. You step out of the dressing room, and you got a corridor that goes all around. I guess these big buildings have that. They have a hallway that goes all around on the lower level, all around the Coliseum. So I stepped out there, and she was standing in the hallway, and she went, "Oh, hi, Dutch." I says, and I'd never met her before. She had made TV that Saturday. I'm sorry, and she was going to take on Andy Kaufman tonight. Now this was following my whole run with Lawler, so I stepped out there, and I'm in a whole totally different scenario now with another opponent and all that. But she says, "Do you have any tips for me about wrestling Andy?" She called him Andy. I said, "Well," I'm thinking, well, I knew right then. I said, they hadn't told this girl nothing.
Yeah, she thinks it's a shoot.
So I'm not going to tell her anything either. So I said, well, and she was a pretty hefty girl. She was probably 150. Maybe it could have been a little more. But and she told me a story. She said, "I really need that money, Dutch. I really need that money," because he offered $1,000 for anybody, male or female, that could pin him his shoulders to the mat for 3 seconds. And after she told me, I'm thinking, damn, I wish she would beat him.
Right.
I said, well, I'm going to tell you, you need to go out there and go for it early. And I didn't tell her why, but I knew that she would get out there in front of those people, and her nerves, she's probably ready to throw up just thinking about it. But she'd never been in front of 11,200 people or whatever the building holds. And I said, you need to go for it early and see if you can take him out early. And she said, okay, thank you very much. And she's very nice. You had to like her just the way she spoke to you. So when the match come, I didn't know what they had planned, but I knew for this one, this was a true shoot. So they got in the ring, and the building come in when they introduced her. And the building come in when they introduced Kaufman and Andy and Jimmy Hart. They were together. So I saw, and I only had a 5-minute time limit. So she went for him and took him down. The crowd popped. He rolled out on the floor. And they knew he was stalling for time because the clock was on the wall. You know, the Memphis State basketball team played in there. So they had a clock on each wall so both teams could see it playing basketball.
Right.
So now the people are looking at the clocks. Now 4 minutes. Now they're getting hot. And she does it again. Comes back in. Now she's blowed now. I can tell it. And he went down and took her down, and she's blowed up. And it didn't look good from then. But I thought, you know, he laid all over and slapped her around, not hard, but slapped her around, just more like humiliating her a little bit. Which if I'd have been a fan, I may have jumped in the ring because I knew her
right.
now. She's my friend. So but so that's what happened. So, and at the end, that's when Lawler comes in and said, "Oh, you do it to a woman, can you do it to a man?" That's when he fit him the headlock, and he took him up and he dropped him on that suplex and side suplex. And then give him 2 power drivers, left him laying in the ring. Now, as a fan, I didn't know what was going to happen. So that's the beauty of being a fan. They did something, and I bought it. Because it was really a true shoot. And when they took him out of the ring on a gurney, people from the second, the load seats, the first level, they were throwing stuff at him, and he's got a neck brace on, laying on the gurney, and they're still trying to hit him. That's true heat. That's what it was.
Yeah, what a gimmick! My God, yeah.
So that's what I remember about Memphis. In a nutshell.
From Joe, it says, "Do you like Smoky Mountain as much as you like Memphis?"
Smoky Mountain was just different. It was a different setup. We'd be in Memphis. We'd go to a TV, then we go to Smoky Mountain. You'd go to some high school gym way back in the hills of West Virginia somewhere. My God, I don't think those people have ever been out of the mountains. I don't think they got a Rand McNally road map that even shows those roads in West Virginia. You can meet yourself going around them. They're so curvy. I
Yep.
used to almost get sick. Those curves would be so much. So, any more?
Yes. Got a question from your average vinyl collector. Who was someone who had it all but never made it big?
Well, I don't know. A lot of them, really. But see, making it big is only somebody's impression of you and what they can do with you. See what I mean?
Yep.
It was I'll say this, Buddy Landell.
Good one. Yeah.
He had it all. He could talk. He could perform in the ring. He looked the part. And the story about Buddy is he had demons chasing him. And he went to, and he first, Flair liked him. Flair wanted to do a run with him. And the time they were going to do it, they was doing TV out of Atlanta, out of Channel 17 in Atlanta. And the day they were going to do it, Buddy no-showed TV. And they're winning his spot. They never gave it back to him because Buddy was dealing with his demons, and they just caught up to him. Yeah, Buddy, if he'd have made it in Charlotte, then he'd have been in WWE, and we'd be talking about Buddy Landell today, and not some of these guys. Good guy too.
Did you enjoy working with Alberto Del Rio? That's from the Wrestler Bro.
Did I enjoy working with him on the last run? I think he's talking about.
Yep, for sure.
Well, I like Alberto, and I tell this story too. Sometimes, you can know too much for your own good. I knew that Angle was hell-bent on burning up and dying. First time they told me about it. Because Vince told me about it. So Vince is telling me about it, and it was his idea. So I want you, John, and everybody listening to put yourselves in my place. What are you going to do? You're going to tell Vince, oh, that's not going to work. It was his idea to do it. But see, when I came out, when Del Rio, he came out and he faced off, what pay-per-view was this, John? You remember?
Oof, I don't even remember.
We was in California, I think.
That era is a blur to me.
I think it was in L.A. And he was issuing that challenge to the back, anybody, and I stepped out, rolled out. And there was, I told him I got somebody. Everybody expected it was going to be Swagger.
Yeah.
But here come Del Rio, and I could feel the crowd go, what the hell is this? Because if you'd followed the story, I hated Alberto Del Rio.
Yeah, made no sense.
I hated him. He hated me. Now all of a sudden, we're together. Made no sense whatsoever. And I tried to tell a few of them after this that doesn't make sense, guys. It doesn't make sense. And I gave them a way that we could get out of this. Is Jack one night on Raw, or that'd be a good place to do it. He comes out and I'm outside the ring, and he says, I can't believe I listened to you for a year and a half, and all of a sudden you end up with that SOB in the ring, blah, blah, blah. And Del Rio was just watching. There's four opponents in the ring, and he comes down. I was on crutches, and he would knock that crutch out, and down I'd go. Then Del Rio would come and grab the mic from me, and Jack would back off. And he'd say, hey, why don't you fight somebody that will fight you back? Blah, 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 blah. And Del Rio's in front of me, and Jack's up the ramp. And I finally stand up and pick that crutch up. And when Del Rio turns to go in the ring, bam, I nail him and we get on him. Now I can tell the story. I thought about this every night for 7 months about how to get you. And it would have made sense. It was a setup. But they said, nah, we don't do it. I said, okay, don't do it. Then I rode off into Merry Sunset. That's what I did.
Just so weird to see you guys together because it like really doesn't make sense at
Weird.
all. Yeah.
You ought to go to the ring. One time it was me and Jack versus Del Rio, and we were on one of those Texas border towns. Nothing but Mexicanos everywhere.
Right.
And, I was against the immigration, sneaking across the border,
Yeah.
and all this stuff. And, brother, there were some people down there. And you never see a WWE crowd kind of get violent or even attempt any violence. And and the guy was cussing me in Spanish. Hijo de puta, bastardo, blah, blah, blah. But what he was saying was, I'm going to cut you. And I'm trying to get away from this guy because security wasn't down there with me. And I went to the back and I saw my security guy, which I liked, but he wasn't out there with me that night. And I told him about that. And he said, nah, these fans, they don't do that. I said, hey, let me tell you something. And I knew him well. So I said, let me tell you something, you bastard. If I get hurt out there tomorrow night, your ass is getting fired. I said, because you should have been with me tonight, but you're not. You're back here messing around. Well, the next night, he went with me, and it was the same deal. It was another one of those border towns. It was worse the next night. And he come back and said, damn, I've never seen people like that. I said, I'm trying to tell you. This angle's got some heat behind it, some steam behind it. And he believed it then. And I've had a lot of people even come up to me and this is how you get wrestling over. You got a space, is it real or is it prearranged? But you got a little zone here, about 10% of the zone, of the scale. And that's when the people don't know. Like the Will Smith and the Chris Rock deal. Yep. People, I still think that was a little bit of a setup. A lot of people say it's not. You can talk yourself in either direction with it. But if they're in that zone of whether you really mean what you're saying, that's when you got them. And what I was saying was, a lot of people agreed with me. So when I went out there and I would go, I want every real American in this building and within the sound of my voice to please rise, put your hand over your heart. I would get a big response every night because I wasn't all the way healed like they wanted me to be, because they told me, oh, you're gonna be really, really hot. And I'm thinking, I'm not gonna be. I didn't say this. I said, I don't think I'm gonna be as hot as you guys think I am. But I said that to myself. I was talking to my little brain.
Yep.
See, they want to hear, oh, everybody hates me, but you could tell half the crowd didn't hate me. Half of them did, half of them didn't. Which is, you would die for a guy like that in the territory, because he can go both ways. So some people agreed with me, some people didn't. So hence my statement a little earlier, you can know too much for your own good.
Yes. So Javi wants to know, what's the biggest cost for a promoter or promotion besides payroll?
Advertising, biggest cost. Travel. You talking about WWE?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Or any really promotion.
Okay, you go into town and they'll give you the house. Let's say, what is it? It's $130,000 or whatever. That sounds great, but they got to fly everybody there, and if it's a TV night, they would actually lose money on that if it's a TV night. Because even when I was there, I think doing TV was $140,000 every time they did it. That's a lot of money.
And that's just production costs and all that other stuff thrown
Well,
in there
that's,
together.
building, rental, advertising, travel, cars, transportation for the trucks, all the people to come in and set it up. Because they come in about 2 days early and start setting that stuff up. Did you see that set up at Wrestlemania, the big screen?
Oh yeah.
Not cheap. You know what the lights were back then, just to hang the lights over the ring? 60 grand. That's just in a regular sized building.
Wow.
No telling what they were in the Texas Stadium. No telling. Very, very expensive to do because it's a stage show every time they go out. It's a big time production. So that's why they want you to go out there and bust your butt. And because if you don't bust your butt, you won't have a job long. And some guys will think they can go there and, work. They love the pandemic. I hate to say that. But they just had to go to Orlando, I think 2 days a week. And didn't they do Raw in Orlando too for a long time?
Yeah. Yeah. And then Tampa.
And they did SmackDown. Yeah. Well, the rest of the time they could stay home. Well, they love that. Hell, their kids probably found out they had a daddy. Because otherwise, they'd be on the road all the time. And when you're on the road all the time, you're going everywhere. Sometimes the Raw guys and the SmackDown guys run into each other at the airport at the same time. Where you going? I'm going here. Well, I'll see you later, man. Gone. Then you got to rent a car and travel. And I was on the road one time. I was at WCW. I was on the road one time, 64 straight days. Because I had to be on TV because I was doing commentary with Tony Schiavone. I forgot what show it was. 64 straight days before I got to go home. That's a lot.
That's insane. Yeah.
That's a hell of a lot. So anyway. All right, people, anybody wants to make a donation to my charity, myself, Dirty Dust Mantel at gmail.com via PayPal. And I will write a thank you note. Thanks. I got that in. Go ahead, John. What's the next one?
Just one final question for you. Thoughts on El Bronco in WWC Puerto Rico?
Great guy. Good guy. And, John, you don't know who we talk about, do you?
I've only heard the name. I've never seen him wrestle.
El Bronco
only from looking at old results and stuff.
He's Dominican. And from what I understand, the Dominicans and the Puerto Ricans, they don't get along that well. So he had a lot of heat down there because he would talk within the culture. See, I would always talk from outside the culture. And he would talk from within the culture because he spoke Spanish too. Had a ton of heat. Good worker. So, and had great matches with him. He had great matches with the other guys. And he was probably down there, I don't know, 10 years, I guess. And he's still there, I'm sure. But I don't know if he's still wrestling or not. But good guy, a good performer. And, he drew some money there. So what we got now? Anything? Any more?
I got a ton more, but we're almost hitting an hour. I don't know if you want to do more. Yeah, we're almost at an hour. Believe it or not.
Let's hold off because this theater with Dutch is getting to wear me out here. So
yes.
But anyway, I think hey, we covered a lot today.
Yeah, a lot of good questions. Like it.
So people keep writing the questions. We'll keep doing this till we stop, which could be next week. No, we're not going to stop next week. We'll keep doing it. So, so I was going to bring up something. This is a political situation. I don't like to talk about politics, but it's not U.S. politics. It's the war in Ukraine. That is horrible. What's going on there? And I almost can't even watch TV for them to even talk about it. And I don't know what the purpose of it is. I don't know. But I know that a lot of innocent people are getting killed over there for, I don't think, any good reason. So I hope they can get that cleared up, get that straightened up, and because that just for fate, that could be us.
Hmm.
We could have
Yeah.
been born. We could have been born Ukrainian and don't know nothing. What are those kids thinking now? Those bombs coming in, and I didn't know Ukraine was such a big city. I mean, the capital. It's all big, nice buildings and everything, but the people actually live on farms. So they're not understanding it. So I want peace for them and for that to end. So I don't know how anybody else feels about it. I don't know how you could feel any different about it. But that really, I really hate to see that. And you usually think of Dirty Dutch not having a sympathetic heart. I do on this. I really do. So, all right, John, let's wrap it up. Do the wrap up here. Play some music and let's get out of here.
Yes, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at 2Man Power Trip. Check out the website, tmptempire.com. Dutch, we are out. Have you got any final parting words?
No. You can watch me on sportskita.com on Friday nights. And we critique SmackDown and Rampage, AEW Rampage. And it's about an hour show, hour 15 sometimes. And we talk about the show. I have two co-hosts there, Rick Guccino and Sid, the true historian of wrestling. And you can find me, Dirty Dutch Mantel, at gmail.com. You want to email me. And I'm on Twitter, Dirty D Mantel. I'm not verified. You can't get verified. And I'm on Twitter, Dirty Dutchman1. And on Facebook, it's just Dutch Mantel. So come join me sometimes, and we'll talk. So from the old Dutchman here, my dog just come up to me. He thinks I'm gonna give him some of these crackers. He's fat enough. He don't need any food. So John, thank you very much. You've been a great co-host, and we'll see you guys next week.